All right, for inverse trig, you really just need to memorize these rules. So the first three, the second three are just the negative of the first. So sine and cosine inverses are the same but -1. Tangent, cotangent, same but -1. And then secant and cosecant are the same but -1. And you can notice that all of these are negative. They all start with the C's. So cosine, cotangent, and cosecant are all the negatives of the original. So you can remember that. So all we're going to do is to apply the rule up here and then try to simplify. So I write really big, so I'm just going to write it all down here. So here's number 1. So I'm just putting in the, going to the cosine rule right here, and my u is x squared. So I see a u right there. I'm going to plug it in x squared. So let's see. So the derivative, so y prime would be -1 over, so u squared. So I'm going to square my x squared here. And then du, what that means is that I need to take the derivative of u, and the u, remember, was x squared. So the derivative of that would be that. So then to simplify that, oopsie, I'm just going to put that on top. I don't know why I put -1. So -2x over 1 minus x to the 4th. So that's the derivative. For number 2, this is just a number times t, but that is your u. So I'm going to plug that u right up into here. So for number 2, it's 1 over the square root of 1 minus, I'm going to go ahead and square this. So square that becomes t squared times 2. So that'd be 2t squared times the derivative. That's just a number times t. So the derivative would be that. You can just put that on top and you'd be done. Now you can get one like number 3. It starts to get a little bit trickier. And you're just putting this into the secant rule here. So the derivative would be 1 over, you have 2s plus 1. That's the absolute value. Square root of 2s plus 1 squared minus 1. Now you actually have to square this out right here. So when you square that part out, you get the square root of, so that'd be 4s squared plus 4s plus 1 minus 1. So the plus 1 and minus 1 are going to cancel for you. And I'm going to factor out a 4 from these two terms. So it becomes the square root of 4 times the square root of this. Oh, I forgot to multiply this by the derivative, sorry. The derivative of this is, I forgot right here, should be times the 2. So there really needs to be a 2 on top here. Sorry, so now you take the derivative of, or you take the square root of 4. So I end up with 2 over this absolute value. Derivative of 4 is a 2. You cannot do anything to that because you're adding and subtracting. So then that would be, so those would cancel for you. So your final answer would look like this when you do it. Okay, I'm going to show you one more. I'm going to do number 5. And then you can do some delta maths. And then there's some videos on there too I can assign if you need. So you plug in the secant squared. So you're going to have, and the derivative is 1 over, this is your u. That's t to a -1. So you have absolute value of 1 over t. Square root, t squared would be 1 over t squared because 1 is squared and the t is squared minus 1. I'm going to get times the derivative of that. I always forget that part. So bring down your power, subtract 1. So I need to get a common denominator right here. So I'm going to multiply this side by a t squared over a t squared. So I'm going to put this term on bottom. So that becomes times -1 over t squared times this right here is 1 minus t squared over t squared. So then when I do, oh, hold on, why did I put 1 over that? I put that on bottom already. That's not 1 over, this is just a negative t squared now on bottom. Sorry. So now I can square at the top and bottom down here. So this I'm going to put right here. So this becomes 1 minus t squared over absolute value of t, because you square root a t squared, you get absolute value of t out. Now this tells me that my t is positive, so technically I could drop all the absolute values, but I'm just going to show you in case you couldn't drop it if they forgot to tell you that. So we still have this negative here. I'm going to leave it on top. So then I'd have a 1 over a t times a t squared times a 1 over a t from this right here. This is a 1 over t, and then that square root. So really these two t's would cancel with that one. So really this whole derivative cancels down to the square root of 1 minus t squared. So you really just need to practice plugging it in. If you can't simplify it all the way down, it's fine right now because these are going to be multiple choice and that's something you can practice on. But you have to at least be able to get to that step. You have to be able to get to this step, right? Applying just the rule to the function. And oh yeah, there's backs. I just remembered. All right, so the back of these notes, this is like day 2 of 2.8. So what the derivative is, it says that if two functions are inverses of each other, then the inverse's derivative is 1 over the derivative of the original. The key here is that you will never, ever, do you see that it says A and that says B? So here's your original function. There's an A and a B. So it's saying the derivative at B, you'd plug in the A right here. So I'm going to show you down here with like a function that makes a lot more sense. So I'm telling you that this is the inverse point. Here's the original function. They are inverses of each other. So the rule tells me that this will equal 1 over the derivative of f, but not at the 2. I need to switch it back to the other value. So it's the derivative at 1. So I'm going to do 1 over the derivative of f would be 3x squared plus 1. And now I need to plug in the 1. So it becomes 1/4. Okay. Again, you don't have to take the derivative of e to the x. That's in the next lesson when you watch it, but I'm just going to go ahead and show you another derivative here. So the derivative of this would be 1 over f, and not at 1, you got to use the other point. So it's at 0. So the derivative of f for this is going to be 1 over 2 plus e to the x. You'll learn that e to the x is e to the x in the next section. Now plug in 0. So I have 1 over 2 plus e to the 0. That's a 1, so I get 1/3 is my answer here. Okay, up here we could just give you points. So first I'm going to do the rule here. So this is going to be 1 over the derivative of f. So I need where the y value is 3, I need the x value. So here's the y value at 3. That means I'm going to use the x value of 6. All right, you're using the other value because inverses memory switch x and y. So x and y switches, that's why it's switching here. So it's 1 over the derivative there is -2. So your answer is -1/2. Okay.